Oh,
All right, today is Thursday, January 20th, 2022, in most parts of the world. And this is our weekly outreach meeting where we get into outreach stuff. Let's go around and do some quick introductions. If you guys could share your name and where you're from and something fun you want to share with the group, not in the agenda, that would be great. Let's see. So I know Nate likes to manage these meetings by announcing who's going to talk when, but I really like popcorn. So I'm going to let each person pick the next person. We'll do every meeting differently. It'll be great. I'm going to go first. My name is Jen Lamson. I'm joining from Oakland, California. I've had a very busy week, mostly backdrop stuff, which is exciting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reviewing a bunch of pull requests today. That's my goal. So let's see. Robert, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet, coming to you from Altadena, California, and recently been working on rules and UberCart and various contrib things, and there's still a whole bunch more to be done, and looking forward to working on that. And I'll pass it to Sarvashri.
Okay, my name is Sarvashri, and I'm in Walnut Cove, North Carolina, where we have snow on the ground. And I'm interested in helping new users get going. Let's see. Greg?
I am Greg. I'm joining from Greece. We're waiting for snow over the weekend. We'll see, hoping. Yeah, busy with work, but I'm trying to get some things done over the weekend, and I need to update our roadmap page too. Passing it on to Martin.
I'm Martin in the UK, and I've been working on doing a bit of initial design of a website and some back-end scripting this week, and I've also done a little bit of bug fixing. So I did my first bug fix on core, which I was quite pleased about. So go to Joseph.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm a backend developer fixing bugs because of regressions right now, because we have a lot of them actually.
I think I'm the last one.
Okay.
My name is Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota. And I've been just really busy with client stuff and also some of my Simplo stuff. Some of you might have been seeing more of that. I got some interesting stuff going on I hope to talk more about later. Yeah, so should we jump into the meeting? Should I do you want to do something, Jen? Or?
I just want to take a minute and thank you, Tim, for writing up the blog post for 121. It makes Backdrop 121 look really exciting, and I loved it. So nice work.
Right.
I also would be curious if you were able to get enough information out of the issue summaries to do that, or how painful the process was for you in order to come up with something so good.
Sure. It was pretty easy this time, although it seemed like, so you had mentioned that there was that content there already, and like I didn't remember every time. So sometimes I would write something and then I would remember, oh, maybe there's something there, and I would go look. And it seemed like every time I looked, there wasn't really anything obvious there. So I don't think it helped me a lot, but part of that was my own fault because I wrote a lot of it without thinking to look. But it did, I don't know, it just seemed easier this time, and that might be just because I kind of was more familiar with a lot of the issues. Plus, there were a lot of good screenshots in the issues already, so it did go pretty easy. I mean, it takes a little bit of time, but I think it was a good idea. It should be helpful, and I think it will be helpful next time, especially as we get better at remembering to do that. So, thank you.
Okay. I don't think all of them got updates, so I don't wonder what percentage of that actually benefited you, but it sounds like you already knew about everything, so you didn't need to go like reread the whole issues anyway. So it's an added bonus to have you write it.
To some extent, right, is that I'm paying pretty good attention to the issue queue, so I kind of knew what a lot of those issues were. And we could talk about like if there's how to make it better or whatever. To some extent, the issues that I don't understand, I kind of skip over. I decided probably we didn't need in the blog post. I think we don't try to cover every bug fix or sort of some of the back end stuff. Things like the use entity thing that went into core, I might not have done that justice. If somebody wants to look at that understands that issue really well. I think I just said something really vague like, this is a really cool thing for developers writing core and contrib code, but I didn't say why it's cool, because I don't really know. Maybe there was some, hopefully there wasn't some great text there that I ignored. If there was, let's still use it. So any other thoughts on the blog post, or we could talk in general about promoting, or should we be depromoting this last upgrade until we get a fix?
Yeah.
To the bug thing, which sounds like it could be soon. We'll talk about that, I think, more in the next meeting. But well, okay. And since it's been alluded to once or twice, just to be clear, we found at least kind of one major regression in the backdrop update from earlier. When did that came out? It came out Saturday. So we need, we're working on a fix. It got reported pretty quick. One user was having problems, but nobody could reproduce it for a while. And I think yesterday, all of a sudden, we started getting other reports that helped us zero in on the problem. And there's a whole flurry of activity. And at the very minimum, we could revert the code. But does somebody have just a quick update? Are we close to a patch on that yet?
There's a patch on that issue.
So yeah, Indigo Zella made a pull request that reverts the original change. I do have steps to reproduce the issue now. I've been working on it with Alejandro, and it appears that if you have multiple menu links with the same router path, then things get weird.
Okay.
So that's kind of like what's going on there. There's actually another thing though, because the changes to entity view actually changed the method signature of entity view. And if you have a custom entity that also implements the entity view method, that is now in PHP 7.4 and above, that is a fatal error to change method signatures that you're inheriting.
Okay.
So we've got immediately on the events website when I updated it 5 minutes after tag was cut. I was like, okay.
Right. So if you have a custom module that has custom entities with view methods, that you have to update all of those. There is an update for registration. I don't know about any of the others.
Yeah, actually, I think we knew that we were going to have to upgrade some modules, didn't we? I don't know if that all happened.
Entity Plus. But I checked and there wasn't even a new version of Entity Plus available on the day that we made the release. So I don't know if it had the same problem or not.
Okay.
I didn't run into the problem with Entity Plus.
Well, I imagine this is all going to get more attention in the developer meeting. So,
yeah.
But
to answer your question, Tim.
But it does.
It's good not to promote it too much until we have the bug fix release out.
Right. Is there anything? Well, let's find out what how close we are to fixing these things. I was going to say, is there anything we need to do to sort of warn people or suggest that they wait a few days? But maybe we should wait and figure out where we're at. Because
yeah.
I mean, is there any chance that we're going to get something out today or tomorrow? Does anybody know? Or let's just wait until the dev meeting.
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay. So probably just the best thing is no, at least until we know more, no messaging, neither promote or necessarily do anything else. We did with the we had a similar problem with the last release, that we at least put a note up telling people, warning people about the known bug before we got, before that a fix was on the way. And so that might be something we consider doing if there's going to be a few days, is that we sort of warn people that there are some known issues and we're working on them. And that's kind of an outreach thing.
Joseph, do you know if there's an issue for the entity view problem in core?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's been being fixed in the relative or various contrib module queues.
Yeah, I don't know that we need one, but we'll talk about it in the dev meeting.
So the next thing on our agenda is the newsletter, which we usually, when we do get it out, I think hold off on the newsletter, which usually announces the release until the first bug fix, right? And or usually like 2 weeks after the release is when we try to send out a newsletter. So I would say if we do get a bug fix release out, I don't know if that would be a signal that we could go ahead with the newsletter, if we should still hold off another week. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we should hold on the newsletter until we have a fix. And I think we usually hold on the newsletter anyway until after the first bug fix release. I think we're okay.
Well, I agree with that. What I'm asking, I guess, is if we got a bug fix release out now, that would be a little quicker than usual. So should we still hold out longer on the newsletter, or do you think just once we've done a bug fix release?
No, I think it would be good, because then that way, if anyone had updated to 121 and might be experiencing these issues, getting information that 121.1 is out could be valuable for them.
That makes sense to me. So assuming we get a bug fix release out, then I'll try to get that newsletter out. So I see you added, did you clean up my mess on the registration site or on the event site, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a mess. It was just the last event. It was fine.
Okay. Well, I had to say, I mean, I don't think we had Backdrop Live registration open, and I think that might have still been working, but it was hidden, wasn't it? Did you? So if I go to the site now, I'm going to find a link to the registration.
I think it's on
the front page.
Yeah, on the front page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I updated the events site with the latest to 121, I was like, oh, this event is currently set up for something that was, Backdrop upgrade day in November. Right. And I'm like, I'll just switch it to the new event. So I did, and it wasn't very much work. So it wasn't much of a mess. I just put the note on the homepage and updated the dates and times, and that was kind of it.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and there's two register links. One of them takes me to the login page, which I think is probably expected. The other one takes me to a page with nothing, with just details are coming. So we might want to fix that. This is the bottom one, if you want to take a look at that right now. The other thing,
you have to be logged in for the other link to work.
Well, right, but if one of them is taking me to the login page, shouldn't both of them?
Well, somebody hard coded one inside a node, so it won't. It doesn't know if you're logged in or not.
I get it.
Yeah, I have a solution to this problem for a different website where I provide a block that automatically handles the link destination. This one, we don't have anything.
Okay. Somebody, we got some background now. Is that Olaf?
Yeah, there you go.
So what version of Backdrop has this bug?
The latest release.
120.0?
21.
21, okay. I don't have that one yet.
Yeah, so probably hold off for a couple of days. Okay, so
just noting that Justin, Olaf, and Wilbur have joined us.
Yes, we have a full house today. This is one of the larger groups we've had in a while. So this is a good reminder. Well, let's talk about, since Wilbur just showed his face, let's talk about office hours, because that has been an outreach thing lately. Wilbur, do you want to give us an update on office hours?
We just do it every week. We did switch the hours so that they're a little earlier. And, while we're talking about this, I got a note from, I can't remember her name. She's German. And she said that office hours are a little too late for her. So I'm wondering if it would be advantageous for us to move office hours a few hours even earlier. So that would be morning in the United States Central, late afternoon for European continent people.
Was
I
it
don't know
Gozella?
how people feel
Said it?
about.
Wilbur, was it Irigozella that said it?
Yep.
Okay, and Olaf is around that same time zone, if I'm not mistaken. So
So right now it's at 1900 UTC time, and we could switch that, 5 or 6 hours, 4 or 5 hours. So that would be a morning meeting for us, but an afternoon meeting for them.
Sure.
I guess 4 or 5
Personally, my likelihood of participating would go down quite a bit, but that's okay. I think it would be good to get some other people, and I think it would be great to have an event at a different time of the day. So
Robert,
I support.
you're shaking your head too?
Yeah, in California, that current office hours are at 11 a.m. So if you shifted them by 5 or 6 hours, that would be, 5 a.m. And that's pretty tough.
Yeah. Even a couple more hours might be helpful.
Yeah, 3 hours, 8 a.m. Yeah, I can't speak for all the Californians here, but that seems doable.
Is there a way we could gather some data and maybe do a survey on that? Any ideas about that?
Well, I'm not sure how effective any survey would be, because it would we don't know who would come, right? And so how would we target them? I think you just have to try it, personally. I mean, right. Because anything we did a survey, we would reach the people who we normally reach. And the people we normally reach are the people that, like our
Show
current
up.
times work for, right?
Right.
So
maybe it's worth considering either having 2 different office hours, like a US and Europe, or call it something else, because it might be effective to other. But I know that has the drawback of splitting audience, so we will have less attendance, maybe, likely. So
I mean, I think having more events at different times is a great idea, but the idea is meaningless until we get somebody to facilitate them. So if anybody, I mean, this is sort of, I think I have been bringing this up from time to time for the last 2 years. If anybody wants to host an event, like really in a time zone, a very different time zone than what we're currently doing, I will do everything I can to support it publicity-wise. But we just need somebody willing to sort of be the host.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think I can't join Wednesday morning my time, which is one of the reasons why I liked it in the afternoon, but I haven't been there recently anyway. But one thing we could do is, if it started in the morning and I can't join till 1, I can show up at the end and be like, hey, everybody, where did you leave off? And then that, I could have my own little party afterwards and just touch in with everybody at the end of the day. So I think if there were more people interested in being there in the morning, I'd be happy to jump in and say hi at the end. And so
it's a good outreach tool, because we've had quite a few people that were having issues, and helping them via the Zulip chat is one thing, but in person and doing some live screen sharing like helps a lot. So it's actually office hours, like helping people live.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've had people showing up, right? And like, for those who weren't here earlier, yesterday, I just forwarded a tweet to my Twitter account saying, hey, Wilbur and I are sitting here in office hours, and 3 old Drupal friends all showed up within 5 minutes. And, and they brought, some of them just dropped in, I think, to say hi, but they also asked some backdrop questions. We got some feedback. For those, if anybody knows Chris O'Donnell, he does Drupal sales and development. He's worked for a couple of different Drupal firms. He's currently working for one out of Colorado, and I just asked him what he thought the visibility was of Backdrop, because he seemed like a great person to ask, somebody who's not in our inner circle, and his answer was 0, which is good feedback for us. I hope that he's wrong, but anyways, he feels like, yeah, he said, the only reason I know about it, Tim, is because I follow you on Twitter. So that's some informal feedback. What else did we hear yesterday, Wilbur, that might be useful? Anything?
I think there was a little discussion about security updates in the Drupal community and how those were applied in Backdrop, and just also some interaction about the potential costs of migrating to Backdrop as opposed to migrating to a Drupal 9 website. And so just a little outreach, a little discussion from people that have a little information with people that are looking for it. So let's do this. Let's get back to office hours, and let's say this, that let's just keep them where they're at for right now. We just changed it. Let's go with that for a quarter. And if anybody wants to extend office hours and just can't make those times or want to go back and forth, Jen, you said you could do it potentially after. I mean, anybody could say, hey, I'm going to be around and I can extend office hours from 3 to 5 Central Time. And so I'll make my continued commitment to 1 to 3 Central, the regular thing, and then people can take a shift before or after that, or pick a morning shift. But I think the key on these kind of things that I learned a long time ago with the Drupal user group is get it in and be consistent and show up every week. And then sometimes, another old marketing, direct marketing thing is you have to tell someone 7 times before they'll take action. So maybe after the 7th time somebody sees a note that we're having office hours, they'll make a plan to show up the week after. So,
speaking about telling someone more than once, Jen, I'm not sure. It's been maybe a couple of years or even more when we tried to reach the Drupal Association, and as a habit, every December I look at the Drupal and Backdrop usage stats, in hope that we will be trying to sort of like retain some of the community that is just fleeing away. So we're like 500 sites since last year, Backdrop sites, I mean, but the Drupal sites are decreasing by hundreds of thousands, like if not hundreds, at least dozens. They're steadily below 1 million since June, July last year. So maybe now, 2 or 3 years later, is a good opportunity to try to reach to the Drupal Association again to get some official sort of like recognition to say, because the graph now in the page, in the Drupal project user page, clearly shows that, first of all, it's like the countdown is ticking, and it's still, these 7 sites are still more than 500,000, like 50% of the potential community, right? So maybe they're interested to talk now, to have a discussion now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that sounds interesting. I think it needs to not come from myself or Nate.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the PMC or core committers, or anyone who wants to start that conversation?
Yeah, probably.
I talked about an upgrade day, doing sort of a blog post where we sort of called out in a friendly way the Drupal Association, and sort of said, not in a negative or aggressive way, but just sort of said, hey, we made a big public statement about how we'd like to work with you, or what are the opportunities. So that's another option, to do something along those lines. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody have thoughts on how we might reapproach the Drupal community in a more official way?
I have no other thoughts than just being loud during Drupal meetings, or just loud. When I say loud, mentioning this, right? If we keep mentioning it, eventually, and politely, as I said, and not in an offensive way.
I might, okay, go ahead. I was gonna say, I might think about the blog post idea and just draft something up as an experiment to show to some people and see if there's an approach we could take that feels right. But I'm not sure if that's the best way. I mean, it's, one way would be a public appeal, another way is a private appeal. And as I think I've said before, I don't know how to privately appeal to people sort of remotely. If I were at conferences and events, it would be easier to have these conversations. But like, I don't know who I would call privately and ping.
So one of the things that I keep doing frequently is when there's a blog post that has been posted in the Drupal newsletter, which is related to the Drupal 7 end of life. If they have comments enabled, I just add a comment. And there was a blog post this time by Evolving Web, 9 frequently asked questions about Drupal 7 end of life. And a few hours ago, I just posted a comment which was along the lines of, "Hey, thank you for this article," and sort of like brought up the matter. I'll post a link in the Zulip chat so that people can see it. And then if enough of us sort of like support these things, or if you come across any such articles, say, because I just saw the article, it was mentioning options and it wasn't mentioning backdrop, right? And I said, hey, how about mentioning backdrop as well?
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on this topic before we move on? So actually, it's I have a related thought, which we've talked about before, and I think it's a perfect time to revisit, which is the weekly drop. I noticed on Twitter yesterday that Bob Kepford was soliciting sponsors for the weekly drop. We have talked about doing an ad in the weekly drop before. I think my understanding is that some folks here have contacts with him, and that he has said that he would certainly accept our ad. I think somebody said they were going to approach him at one point about doing something pro bono, which I never heard back on. So I guess I'm just curious if there's any open discussions with him going on. Do we have a price? Do we know what it would cost to sponsor the weekly drop? I think the next Backdrop Live would be a great thing to promote in the weekly drop, and it might be worth the paid ad, depending on how expensive it is. Any thoughts on that?
I did get an estimate from him. I think we might have put it in the PMC queue.
Okay.
But he has a couple of different, like, depending on what kind of sponsorships we want to do, there's a bunch of different price points. I do think it's a good idea to do something before Drupal 7 end of life. I don't know, we might want to do multiple somethings, and we just need to consider how much time we have to invest in the advertisement, whether we want to do like a featured blog post, or if we just want to have like a little advertisement block for several months or something like that. I don't know.
Is the weekly drop a separate thing still? Because back a few, maybe a couple of months, there was an announcement from the Drupal Association that they're sort of like taking over the Drupal newsletter. So I'm not sure if this was basically doing it through them or they are sponsoring it. I don't know, because at the top of the newsletter, the Drupal newsletter, they have the weekly drop thing.
I think it's separate.
It's still separate. It's just that, so the weekly drop is helping Drupal Association with their newsletters, what's happening. I'll try to find the announcement.
The association newsletter?
Yes, association. So the one that says Drupal news, tutorials, and articles. The theme has switched, I think, 2 or 3 newsletters back, where they have the weekly drop at the top of the newsletter. So I'm not sure if it was a merger of those 2 things, or the weekly drop is a separate thing and the Drupal newsletter is a separate thing.
Well, yesterday, Bob Kepford tweeted that he was looking for sponsors. So that's the only thing I know. So he's obviously still editing it and he's looking for sponsors. So yeah, whatever that means, but we should figure that all out. Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say the next steps on this, if Jen, if you're able to locate any notes you have on that. Otherwise, if we can't find any notes on the pricing, I think we should reach out to him again and get the pricing. I think you mentioned like doing something around Drupal end of life. I mean, maybe two things. I mean, if we're going to do some advertising,
I think if
sure.
we wait till
Yeah.
then, it'll be too late.
Well, right. Plus, I think that, you know, I'd rather like promote an event where we could see the results, right, than to just promote Backdrop where would be really hard to know if we got a feedback, right? But if we promoted a Backdrop Live, we'd get a pretty good sense of whether or not how effective it was. So I think if we do another upgrade day, which I think we should, that would be another great thing to promote in the weekly drop. And maybe we could get, if we had both events available on the event site, we could maybe leverage that, push people to our event site and get exposure for all of it. Okay. How are we doing for time? We got 15 minutes. Are there other outreach items that anybody wants to talk about?
Do we have a update day on the calendar or agenda?
We don't. I think it would be great to put one on. Again, I think the big thing would be getting somebody that has the time to, like, I'm probably going to start to gear up for Backdrop Live. But if somebody else had some time to think about an upgrade day, that would be great.
When is Backdrop Live? March?
We have a date on the event site, March 11th. So just under 2 months. You could do something in between there. But, you know, a month from now would still be a month ahead of Backdrop Live.
You know, we could try and brand office hours and have just a backdrop, you know, update Wednesdays.
Actually, that's,
And maybe have people sign up for slots when they'd be available to answer questions from people.
well, I mean, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I think last time we did it on a Wednesday to leverage the existing office hours. That's kind of actually, isn't that sort of when our office hours started to get revitalized, I think, was right after that upgrade day.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we sort of rebrand office hours in general, or do we just pick one particular day and extend the office hours?
We could even, you know, look to make that a monthly event, you know.
The first Wednesday of the month is upgrade day. And
Something like that, yeah.
I feel like having it be not, if we just completely rebranded office hours as upgrade time, but then the availability of it so much that it loses its impact. If it's like once a month or a special event, it's easier to publicize and get people's attention. That doesn't mean people obviously can come any week. I mean, I always mention come to office hours to get help with your upgrade. So we're already promoting it for that, but I like the idea of branding it like once a month as this is the upgrade day. And maybe what we could on that upgrade day is we could have a short presentation once a month where, to make it something special. Or something more formal. Any thoughts on that? This might be a reason on upgrade day might be a great opportunity for somebody to help us extend the hours, either forward or backward, so we can make it longer and reach more time zones.
I'm willing to be part of a upgrade day if people want to get involved with that. So
should we say the first office hour of the month is upgrade day? Or is there a better?
I think that sounds good.
Thank you, Jen. Liver,
Yeah, let's do that.
okay. We got another official decision. So that would be 2 weeks from now, right? It would be the next upgrade day.
Yep,
Okay.
the second.
Martin, can you help promote that on LinkedIn?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other news from LinkedIn?
No, I mean we got we got a little bit of engagement from some of our members from the couple of posts that we did. So I think it will take time, and perhaps if in the newsletter we can promote that we've got a LinkedIn page. I think I did raise a ticket on the backdrop cms.org queue about there's it needs updating with the new instead of pointing to LinkedIn group, it should probably point to the page. And if we want to make the group a bit more open and have a link to it, I think it'd be good to have both if there are people who want to engage on LinkedIn rather than come on the forum. I think that would be good, but I think it would make sense for the links on the website to be to the LinkedIn page, and if we can promote it in the newsletter, I think it would be good if we can get lots of people in who are part of the community to like the page and to like posts as they come out. I think that will help to spread the reach of and the awareness of Backdrop. But we're getting some, and we're getting names that I don't recognise from the community. So it does look like we're getting some engagement, but I think we can probably do a bit more.
Jen, well, first of all, Martin, so does LinkedIn, our current LinkedIn group is closed. You have to apply to join it. Is that normal in LinkedIn, and or was there a reason we made that choice? You know?
No.
Okay.
I don't
So
remember. I'm not sure
Martin,
make that choice. That might have just been how it was.
right. Martin, you seem to know more about LinkedIn than some of us. As far as you can tell, we don't need to be private. We could be a public group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we look into see if we can change that setting? Jen is probably on it already. She's probably halfway there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay. Do you want Martin? Can she make you a co-facilitator of that?
Yeah.
Let's see. This is a page, not a group.
Well, we created a page recently. Actually, you might not have been around for that. Martin recently set up a Backdrop page for us. We didn't have one a month ago. We just had a group, and the group was private. Well, tell you what, let's maybe adjourn the meeting, and we can work on this in the interim.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for this meeting before we stop the YouTube feed?
The update from Drupal Day is all day long?
Well, I think we're just going to have it be the regular office hours unless somebody agrees to extend it, either earlier or later. I don't know. We could extend it an hour or something.
What are the hours for that?
It starts. It would be for you. It's 1 to 3 Central Time right now, so that would be 2 to 4 for you.
Okay.
And we do have the time converter on the website. So if you go to the events page, you can always see when it's going to be, and it should show it in your local time zone. Okay, let's wrap up the meeting, so we have a 5-minute break before the next meeting. Thanks, everybody. Great attendance.